very well. Usually I'm a very energy-packed woman, ready to interact with young people, and I have all these energy to give, but today unfortunately I'm a little sick. So I hope, can you hear me in the back? Can you hear me? Okay, I'm just going to be a little less loud, I guess. So thanks so much, USEF, for inviting me. It's an amazing opportunity for me to share some of my words, and if my story can in any way inspire you or in any way thinking about how you should do, what you should do for your future or your next steps, it would be an honor for me. So basically, Serena just mentioned all the purpose of having these kind of series, but before we go, I want to hear from you about what you expect from this presentation. So, what are you looking for? I would like this presentation to be more interactive because I feel like, you know, just as much as you can learn from me, I can also learn from you. Alright, so before we move, what are you looking for from this presentation? What kind of expectations are you here for? Any answers? Come on, don't be shy. Speak up. What do you want to hear from me? Why are you here? Let's hear one word. Somebody say something. Okay. Maybe raise your hand. Say something.
Kolor Kathmandu.
Oh wow, I hear Kolor Kathmandu. Great. Thank you. One is Kolor Kathmandu. Why are you all others? Anybody else who's? Raise your hands. Yeah.
To learn from my experience.
Learn from my experience. Great. You here for maybe answers, inspiration? Yes.
To get inspired to come back to Nepal after study.
Get inspired to come back to Nepal. That's my favorite statement. I guess anybody else? Yeah. Okay. So that's what I expected too. That you guys are here for some sort of gist of, you know, inspiration, learn from other people, because I've been in your shoes and maybe 3 years ahead, 3, 4, 5 years ahead of you, but you know, hopefully you would want to learn about what I've been doing, hear my story, right? So my story starts in 2005. Okay, first, before even I go there, let's say, what is your background, right? Are you guys a high school student? Yeah, most of you guys are. All of you guys are?
High school graduate.
High school graduate, okay. So maybe I should add a little backstory before I go to my story. While I was in your age, say high school, my dad wanted, I did ISC from St. Xavier's. My dad wanted me to be a doctor. And then I loved studying, like I was a nerd basically. That's why I feel like I got the opportunity to do all these things that I did, but you know, being a doctor wasn't something I was looking forward to. Though I would have been a good, ideal candidate for an MBBS student. All my friends, I'm surrounded with doctors. But knowing the kind of person I am, my dad had to really, you know, really push me, and you know, every day we had to go through this session of him informing me to be a doctor, because it was his dream, it was my family's dream to, you know, at least have one person in the family who's a doctor. But then again, like being the person I am, I just had to know what I wanted to do. I didn't know then, and I was too scared to commit to any kind of profession. It was 18, I guess, yeah. And that led me to apply to schools in US, and luckily, super luckily, I got really amazing scholarships. And so I was able to start my story. So in 2005, I went to St. Lawrence. It's really a good part of my campus there. And I studied liberal arts there. So one good part about liberal arts is the curriculum is not that strict. It's pretty flexible, and you get to choose what you want to study. I studied sociology and psychology because I was interested in almost anything and everything. I was just really sucking into every courses that, you know, my university was offering. And then after that, I had a hard time deciding my major too, because I was interested environmental science, I was interested in economics, but these two, sociology and psychology, really hit the chord because of the person that I was. I was keen on learning about people, about society, why movements happen, about rich history, and I felt like these two majors really gave me a broader understanding of the micro and macro level of how people react and why people are driven the way they are and why they feel so much for their cause, their ethnicity, their nationality, everything combined. So that was my story in 2005. Started with that. Oops. So the highlight of my 4 years is not just my studies, I guess, because when you look at every time you go to any interview or you look at your resume, first thing, as a student, I just realized people would ask you to send your resume, and you spend so much of your time studying, and it just boils up to one thing, one sentence, GPA, and then you put your GPA, right? And then I would feel it was so unfair because, I spent so much of my time studying, and that's all I can say about my studies, but that's not very true. I spent a major part not just studying, but also making a lot of good, amazing connections with my friends, with my professors, and they just inspired me so much in so many different levels. But also, some of my big highlights of my undergrad studies was going to Denmark for a semester and learning from that experience, going to Europe and exposing myself to different culture. And then also one of the big highlights for me was I won a big competition which was called Project for Peace. So in that, students were allowed to propose an idea of what they felt would bring peace or make some sort of difference. And I proposed that come here and empower 16 to 20 youth in risk to earn their livelihood through all these food carts. So that was one big enriching experience for me, which really made me realize, wow, I can do something solid and make a real difference in people's life. So these were really big highlights that really stems out when I think about my undergrad years. So after this, I graduated. So that was like the big scary jump from the bubbled world to the real world, right? So I don't know how much you guys have already decided your future as to what you want to do in life. But looking back in 2009, even after I graduated, I felt like I was still exploring it. I wasn't done saying what I wanted to do in life, I was barely, 23 already. I mean, still, I didn't know what I wanted to do in life, and I wanted to explore more. That's something I knew. I wanted to learn about what's out there. I wanted to see how I can really match my skills and see what I'm passionate about. Because school, you're still limited to books, classrooms, and you're interacting, yeah, but I just felt like that experience, that click that you feel when you feel, that this is what you want to do in life still hadn't happened, and I was still very lost. So right after graduation, you have a big ordeal of deciding, okay, so are you going to stay here or are you going to come back? So most of my friends, there were about a few Nepali friends as well in my college, and they were all set up. Who wants to go back home? That's crazy. Going back to Nepal it's like the last resort. If you don't find a job, then you sort out to go home. What kind of, are you in your right mind kind of way? So yeah, I still was struggling with the question, and yeah, I found a job right after graduation too. It's not like I didn't have a job, but I still felt like there was a calling. I still felt like I wasn't done with staying in Nepal, and I still needed to connect to my roots more, because at a young age you leave home, you were there for like 4 or 5 years, yeah. I was here till high school, but still like that prime age when you sort of understand what's going inside you or going outside you was spent abroad, right? So I wanted to come back and collect that and be the kind of person I am, and like still be absorbed with my surrounding, my people. There was always this need that I felt to come back and connect and have that sense of belonging that I had here was not something I could find anywhere else. So, so after really struggling with the question, I came up with the conclusion that coming back home maybe is the best way, because I didn't want to like really follow the routes that people had. But even when you're like, you know, thinking about it, you know, sort of like struggling with your decisions, it felt like coming back would be a better thing to do, because I had a game plan, right? So what you'll realize is right after graduation, they're like, of course, you either get a job or you come back, and what most people do is come back here for a year, work here, and then leave. So it was like a big like not failing game plan, you know, like the worst can be is like a year, okay, you work here, and then you have to go to States, and graduate school is still fun. So that's exactly what I did. So for the first year, I worked in an organization, saw how things were here in the working environment, got really inspired too, because the organization I was working with were helping social entrepreneurs, and that's how I opened my mind and started learning more. And then I realized learning in the real world is so much more fulfilling than learning through books and, you know, textbooks. It was another sense of, you know, satisfaction that you got, and it was even more interesting because there are no guidelines. It's like how you interpret your stories and how you pull things in and how you see, how you connect the dots. And for me, looking back, it's always been about connecting the dots. So what I did was like work for a year, and the more I worked, the more I felt like I hadn't learned enough, and this constant quench for knowing and this curiosity sort of like backfired on my game plan. So a year turned out to be 2 years, 2 years turned out to be 3 years, and I'm still here doing the kind of work that I feel like I'm doing the kind of work that I want to do. And now, after this, my next chapter is going to begin. Anyway, so like everybody else, I followed the game plan, which one is the, yeah. So game plan which didn't really work out, and so after seeing that I'm not done with Nepal yet in a year, so I just was really driven to this cause, a new mantra in my life, which I felt like what I'm here for is I want to make a difference, and making a difference is how I want to, you know, be perceived as, and how I want to fulfill my, I don't know, responsibility or my sense of purpose to be here, right? So after that, an idea clicked. So the idea was of Cuppas starting my own cafe. There were so many factors involved when I started. I think I got really inspired by a lot of people I met during my first job, which was promoting social entrepreneurs. So the idea was to make a difference through business ventures. Like I earlier said, I was a big sociology and psychology fan. So for me, even before like graduation, for me business was a no-no. I didn't really understand. I didn't really, not understand, but I didn't really like the way business, I guess the fundas of business worked. I wasn't about profit making. I was about giving power to the people in a world. So So this in itself was a big change in my life, like to think about starting a business on my own. So the idea clicked because the way I said, first thing I want to do is make a difference, and that was creating employment. So right now, we after setting up space in we employ 6 people, which is not a lot, but it still is making a lot of difference in these 6 people's life. And so, with that drive and with that I guess perspective, I moved on, not just to create a simple I guess overseen coffee shop, but make a coffee shop with a difference. So now what we do is we serve coffees, and serving coffee to not just of any kind, homegrown coffees. By doing that too, again, you're creating an ecosystem, right? Where it's like a rippling effect. One pebble will create a lot of waves, right? So one, we're creating employment. We're also promoting our homegrown products. So all the customers who come in and compliment our coffees, the compliment directly corresponds to the farmers of Nepal who have worked hard to create that coffee, create that product. And we do it in such a fusion style that we do it in a very like the international way of like making coffee art. And that's how we attract a lot of customers. At the same time, we make them happy and satisfied. And not just creating coffees, but creating platforms. So like I said, I was a big people's person, and I saw that this was one way of not just limiting your business to a very unidimensional approach, but making it very dynamic and making this a space, not just a coffee giving shop, but making it a space where people can come, feel that ownership, and then feel like a community, so that we can promote ourselves, give space for their talent. So every month, on the 15th of every month, we have an open mic where young people, talented or not even talented, they just come in and have fun, and we have open mic where it's like a huge community. We come together, we sing together, and most of all, we make friends. And that's how we become different, because we give space, we organize a lot of unique events. For example, slam poetry, we organized a chess competition, and that's how we've really, like, it's been amazing to see people who would not necessarily talk to each other now interacting with each other outside of their own friend circle. We've also used Cuppas as an exhibition space. We've done a few photograph exhibitions, and it's been quite a success. And the best part of all, I think this is one of my favorite part of being in Cuppas and owning Cuppas is the window art. This is first time we actually introduced it. It just happened to be through accident, but every month or every other month we have some new theme on our windows, which we do it all together with the community. We all come together and we come up with designs, and it's more about having fun and really taking ownership to the space and expressing yourself. And now we're a happy family. So I think the best thing about Cuppas is seeing it grow from like the scratch to the place where it is right now. We're 2 years old now, and we have so many people we've met through, and not just us, a lot of our customers have like come in and they talk about how they feel inspired to come here. And it's not just for coffee. People come in for community. People come in to share their joys, share their sadness, and it's amazing the kind of like environment we've created. So I feel like connecting it back to how this goes back to my States stay is how I've learned. Nobody told me this could be possible, but having that kind of exposure, going to different places and seeing that, oh, this can happen, you can bring this element back home. That was always there while I was like traveling, be it in States or Europe and Denmark or any other place. I was always observing about how I can bring things back home. And not necessarily all these ideas came from the textbooks or webs, or it's always keeping your eyes open to anything that might spark. So after this, the good part about Cuppas is I have a partner who actually takes over the business managerial sides, and I don't have to be readily involved with all the operations. So it's automatically, once this place was set up, it goes on the way it is. So I can now venture out and see how I can make myself more involved and engaged. So adding new chapter of being involved and contributing comes Nepal ko Yuwa. So like I said, Cuppas was something I had never planned, never thought I would do even before I came to Nepal. But what I really thought I would be involved in was more of a developmental side, taking a more development practitioner's role. And that I feel like Nepal ko Yuwa gave me my first chance. So how many people were here when I gave orientation for Nepal ko Yuwa last Thursday? Were you here? No. It's a different group of people. Okay, so Nepal ko Yuwa was initially started as a student front group where we felt like we were in States and we felt like we wanted to connect to Nepal and with our creative energy do something that can inspire people, at the same time connect. If we can be of super use giving funds or giving committing big things that we could at least what we could do is connect them to the right kind of resources and networks. So that's how we started. But now, in its 5th year, it has started to take a more organizational role, I guess. So these are our board members, and the way Nepal ko Yuwa is unique is we have 5 of our members in States, and we're just 2 of us here, and we're still working it out through our amazingly we Skype it out most of our meeting. We Skype, we talk, we email, and it's amazing how having that virtual channel has helped us grow as an organization, helped us grow as a group, helped us grow as a network. And the good thing about me being involved in Nepal ko Yuwa, what I experienced was to get that kind of experience designing programs for young people in Nepal and helping shape an organization. Most importantly, again, networking, knowing the kind of people, learning from them. That has been a big benefit for me. So through Nepal ko Yuwa, I also led a few talk shows. We partnered with Nepali, and we would talk about how Nepalese returnees can support each other better and talk about all the critical issues in workforce, and really get people stimulating ideas about how we can make ourselves better, and when we make ourselves better, we help others out. We also organized a lot of Yuwa Sammelan, which is like youth conferences where we inspired, just like one of these sessions, we would invite young leaders from all over Kathmandu and all over Nepal and inspire them to strive for positive social change. And most of all, being a part of this huge community through Nepal ko Yuwa, we are organizing a big walk for Nepal, which is a walkathon, which we have all over actually US states right now, and where we gather Nepalese and non-Nepalese to come together for Nepal and walk, and through that it's a big fundraising event where the pool of money that we collect that day is dispersed among Nepalese cause, people who work in Nepal for different causes, Mighty Nepal. There are other organizations too who are involved, and through that we also give some portion of money here, we bring it back here and give young people a chance. We ask them to propose their ideas, and if we really like their ideas, we fund them. So talking about how all this was at one side, so the Cuppas is here, and then Nepal ka Yuwa is another. It's like I don't need to give my 100% of time to Nepal ka Yuwa, but just giving like 15% of my time every month or every 2 months helped us create, something as big as Walk for Nepal. So it was a lesson for me to learn that, you don't need to give, okay, I have a full-time job, but that doesn't mean that I can't be involved in any other stuff too that I'm interested in. If I'm really willing, I will find time and I will give time to that. So while Nepal ka Yuwa was happening, another big thing happened to my life, and that's Sattya Media Arts Collective. Sattya Media Arts Collective is a small organization where we promote media arts, and especially to young people, giving them trainings, giving them platform to connect with artists or media makers. And so this is where I work right now. This is my full-time job. And let me show you. These are the amazing, awesome people that really boosted my spirit up. And it's like going to office is not like going to office, going to work at all. It's like going home. It's become my second home, and it's because of the love and the team spirit that these people have. I really feel like, you need a very enabling environment to give your very best. But when you give your best, you really feel like impossible is nothing. If you have a dream, you can go and pursue it. And if you have the right people backing you up, it's going to be a walk together. It's not going to be a very difficult. Of course, you're going to have challenges along the way, but you will overcome it. So while I was hanging out with them, learning from them, hanging out with the artists, I came up with this really something that was a dream project for me, and now it's actually coming to reality, and it's among you guys. So this is what happened, Kolor Kathmandu. How many people here have noticed murals all around, let's say street art around Kathmandu? 1, 2, 3, 4, handful. So what is your favorite? Which one is the one that really strikes out most that you can think of? Which one?
There's one in the building. There's one big mural in one building in Sundara. Did you guys do that?
Can you tell me what?
It's really big.
But what does it have?
I forgot.
You forget?
Yeah, I didn't go that way.
I think more
Right. Yeah, Mobina too is something that we did. I don't know which one you're talking about, but I'm sure hopefully you come along the slide or we'll figure it out. So
I think that's the one with the tons of oranges and everything. I think that's the
oranges
one.
ones?
Yeah.
That's us as well. So so since you guys have already seen, or maybe, just tell me more about when you look at the oranges mural. What was your first impression? What did you feel like? What was it?
I have not actually seen it in real life, but I've seen many magazines cover it. So
what does it mean for you?
From an aesthetic point of view, I felt that it was really colorful and really vibrant, and I guess it gave me a good feeling. That was it.
Thank you. Okay, so Kolor Kathmandu was just an idea for me. Like I showed you initially, while I was in States after school, I had stayed in Philadelphia. It's called the City of Murals all around throughout the world. It's one of the most inspiring cities. If you want to talk about murals and street art, they have amazing street art. And while I was going again, it was out of my field to even notice or even think about it, but I was just thinking about, it would be so cool if someone could do that in Nepal. Nepal has amazing artists. If only people could utilize that energy and do something similar. I didn't realize I would be one of that person, So it was such an honor for me, and also it's again saying it was a dream come true. So I created Kolor Kathmandu, thinking how cool would it be if we could create 75 pieces of murals in our city, showing 75 different districts, and that way people will learn what's within the district, because Kathmandu as a valley is so isolated in itself. We just know about each other, we know about Darora and we know about Gandhaka, but we don't know what exactly is the specialty of different parts of our country. And that's one way of looking at things. And other is, really you letting the artists, letting the creative forces tell you what they want to see in their murals. That was something combined. That was the idea behind it. So thinking about that, I proposed this idea, and luckily we got funded. So far, we're already done 65 murals. We have 10 more murals to go. But yeah, that was the idea behind Kolor Kathmandu, and to see all the artists take ownership to this platform that we gave, and to see the artists start from a really bad draft to come up with a really amazing piece of work on the walls. It's been such an amazing experience, I can't even tell you, and not to mention rewarding. And so when I think back to about how I had this game plan of 1 year and I'm out of here, all this, I would have missed out so much on this amazing opportunity of making things happen. So I wanted to share a little bit about, show you some of our murals, and talk a little bit about how the artists have conjured up this vision. So this is work done by Shram, and this was completed. It's really amazing how we brought people from different walks of life together to actually paint. Let me tell you, not all of our artists, not all of our artists are professional mural makers. They're very first timers, and this is Shramdeep's first time too. So to see someone come up with this as a first time mural, first attempt, it's been so rewarding for me. So Therathum, for this mural, he's chosen a cat as his character, because apparently the word Therathum comes from cat. And he's used a lot of Dhaka patterns in it, because Therathum is really famous for Dhakas. So that's how, when you look at it, yeah, it won't make sense. But when you really delve into really what does it really mean, and when you're really curious, you will find answers to all of our. So this was done by Shiza. And this is one of the most beautiful pieces of work. It's gotten a lot of hits in our Facebook. It says from Sindhu Pachok. He's really a fan of the deity there. And so this is what we have. And this is Ilam. Ilam is famous for our tea gardens, right? Marina was really good with, she wanted to bring this expression of celebration and women, and then I think she did a very good job. This was just recently completed a week ago. So these are the oranges that you're talking about, right? So Sindhuli, Anish is one of the really bright artists who really went all out researching about the district. So a lot of us didn't know that when British attacked Nepal, there was people of Sindhuri who really stood up with their courage and bravery, and they really fought with the British, and they led them away. So this is just one half of the mural. This other half has Britishers being all squashed with tangerines, and the oranges are the tangerines there. That's because Sindhuli is famous for oranges, which is not oranges, which tangerines are bananas, right? So this is one other experimental piece. One of the reasons why Kolor Kathmandu came into my mind was I was really fed up after coming back. I was really fed up of looking at the ugly billboards, ads, posters, and slogans, political slogans, which are there, might not have any meaning to us, but why are they there in the first place? You know, it was a totally, really lack of respect for public spaces, and it was our way of saying, if you lack respect for public spaces in that way, we would want to create art and show our love and respect for public spaces. Like, public spaces are our space, don't improv. So this is one attempt. Long zoom. Oops. Was a collaborative piece. Longton was a collaborative piece done by Shraddha and an artist from Singapore. And this is a really big, it was a wheat pasting style done, which is different from other murals which were directly painted on the walls. It was a very interesting concept that Shraddha brought with this is, do you remember the race of Longzhou? Yeah, can someone say it to me, because I've been talking a lot. Come on, recite the story.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know much, but it is said that the people of Longzhou will decide who will be their king based on the one who wins the race. So I guess that would be it.
Yeah, and who won the race?
Sorry, I shouldn't have
Who won the race? Come on. It should be pretty fresh. Yeah. Yeah, got it, right? So actually that's how this should be pretty new to you guys as opposed to us. So Dr. Shah won the race and he became the king, and then that got transformed, and then he took over Gorkha, right? So that's the whole story behind it. So that way you've noticed, like, we're trying to bring stories that have been forgotten. So we're trying to bring stories and people and places and cultures and mess it all together. And most importantly, this is an expression of young Nepalis and young people, right? And so it's a way of us saying that this is a gift for the city, and it's been so well received, and we're so lucky to have that. And this is a new experimental piece done by an artist called Imagine. This is a graffiti piece, which is very new to the street art scene of Nepal in itself. Like, can you read what that graffiti says? Any guesses? Even after seeing the district tunnel, come on, connect the dots. No? Yeah, okay. See, like, you guys are all lost. It says Bhanubhakta. You can see it. Does it pop up now? Yeah? Do you see it? Yeah, so that's the whole, like, style. We were trying to bring in different style from different artists, and really, like, trying to make a fusion of that, you know, because Nepali graffiti is pretty unheard of. You know about graffiti in English or whatever, but this is pretty unique, and this is ours, and we should take that ownership. This is a marvelous job, and these are some of the more murals. So the one on this side is done by Saran. She did a marvelous job. This is a beautiful mural in Balbazar. It's a representation of Mithila art, which he does really beautifully. And he said a really important thing. It's a small lane, and the speed bump, I think like 5 yards away from him. And then And then while he was painting, he was reciting this really cute story saying like, oh, you know what? I mean, people don't care about that speed bump at all, but when they come here, they start to slow down, which feels like, it's actually, the speed bump is actually working here, not there, So that's the whole idea of how people notice it, and people get really refreshed to see all these art instead of political slogans sloughed all over. And I'm talking about a fan of typography. I always used to have issues with one of the artists here at the ship. He's an amazing guy. He was always like, I had problem with all these political slogans, and I was like, this sounds like very disgraceful. Why are they doing that? And he would keep complimenting all these people, and I was like, why are you doing that? Like, do you not see, Yuki, how beautifully they've written these political slogans? You read the slogans, but I see the fonts. And that's how he actually started his first street art, is through fonts. And you've seen Sundara's bridge. He actually wrote, he and Ujala wrote the poem by Shrestha Okaldunga poem. Do you guys remember that poem you read in high school, right? So he wrote it all beautifully down. So the stairs has poems, and it's really, really beautifully done, typographically. So talking a little bit more about these murals are, like I said, these are reflections of our artists, and not just local artists, but also international artists. A lot of people have shown so much interest in coming here and painting the walls for Nepal. So there are a lot of street art, say festivals all around the globe. But how are we unique? Is we've gotten all our artists, be it local or international or foreign artists, to come here and paint for Nepal and about Nepal. And you can see that they have expressed it in different forms, but it has some relation to Nepal, and that is so important to our value, to the spirit of Kolor Kathmandu. And the mural here on the left is done by Emily Samse Dokayr. And here she tells a beautiful story about a girl from Doka. It was a folk story that she heard about Doka, where a woman went to the well and fell into the well, and then from that the earth took her in. And it's a very beautiful way of how she put, like, the earth was within her, and she became the mother, giving life to a tree, So they have really sweet connections, and the way artists look and interpret something so moving in itself. I didn't expect the artists to bring out this sort of ownership in the project when I initially started, and this has really taken off in itself. It's gone beyond just one organization. It has touched so many people's lives, and so this has been really an inspiration to all of us generations to come. So these are other two examples, Recall and Dishep again, examples of how different districts were portrayed. So all in all, I can go on and on talking about Kolor Kathmandu, but also there won't be much for you guys to find out. The whole point about Kolor Kathmandu is not to spoon feed, but for you guys, if you're interested, go and find out what does the mural mean. Not all art that's seen in the streets is ours. You should know by now that there are the two organizations to actively promoting street art, and one is Art Lab, and the other one is Art Mandu. We should give them all due credit. We wouldn't want to take all their recognition of, shadow their recognition. But really, for what we are, what Kolor Kathmandu is, we stencil our art, and then you'll find out. And also, we're going to launch a book. You can find out more about our work through our book or the website. You can click into, log into www.kolorkathmandu.satya.org. And so like wrapping all my experiences and lessons, really thinking about how things, like I said, I'm a big fan of connecting the dots. Looking at how my life evolved and how within these 3 months of my Nepal stay, I really feel like I did the kind of work that I wanted to do, from not knowing to now having a vision. I would say, don't be afraid when you don't know, but make an approach to know. Take that step, say, okay, if not today, I will find out. Don't get so hopeless that you don't know, okay? Get carried away by things that people say, or that fall into the trap of societal pressures or family pressures, right? So don't be so fixated. Also, don't be so fixated on the plan that you miss out on bigger opportunities in life. Like, had I just left for States within 1 year, like most people do, after, I could have applied to graduate school then and got into graduate school, but I would have missed out on this, making this really enriching experience for myself. And second is really believe in yourself, never give up when you hit that, just as cheesy, stereotypical it sounds, cliche it sounds, that's really the truth. Because all this looks glamorous right now, it seems like it's a success story, but I know there were so many times when I just I was really down at the bottoms and I had just felt like this is it, I can't move on. But really hanging on to that moment where we feel like failure is actually the next, it's gonna take you to your next success. Really believing in yourself, don't give up. Third is, bigger achievements can only happen when you take bigger risks. It's like, don't be afraid to take risk. Okay, if it's really scary, take calculated risk, but do take that risk. You owe it to yourself and you owe it to your life. And then finally, it's like, really start to ask important questions. What is it that you want? Don't just be, there's one thing about being inspired, but also there's one thing about being brainwashed. Really be thoughtful about what is it that you want in life, and ask that questions more to yourself than just, be like, okay, happy-go-lucky. Not too. So this is the piece that we were talking about. This has really been one of our really big hits, and this was actually done by really famous street art duos who flew in from Germany to work with us. So I feel like I want to end up with this big mural saying, you have the opportunity to be different, and it's up to you whether you want to pursue that or not. Do not let go of that opportunity. Once you walk that path, which might not be something that others set for you, make your own path, and then you can go ahead. So, go ahead and shine. Be different. That's my.
Thank you very much to Ms. Yuki Poudyal, and we would like to now open up for a couple of questions. If anyone has some questions for Ms. Poudyal, please feel free to take the opportunity and ask.
Yes, don't be shy. No questions at all? Yeah.
Please tell us about products and proceeding psychology classes, how it is different from our development classes.
I don't know about psychology. I didn't study in Nepal, in terms of the particular course. But I would say it was different in that St. Lawrence was more about, more research-based. It wasn't about giving exams a lot. It was more about doing a lot of papers. And there were labs so that you need to, lab requirements that you need to fulfill. I guess, is there anything in particular that you had in mind? Or?
I just want to know how psychology classes, without me going to psychology, I didn't find so much classes in psychology.
Yeah, because I never took any classes in Nepal, so I really don't know how it's different. But more than, for me, more than just, class-based studies, I really combined all of that to seeing how I can use these psychological, I don't know, tricks or theories I can use for myself. Like, so in that sense, I wasn't super like studies oriented. I was, yeah, I did good in my classes. That's another thing too. Like I said, I was a nerd, but yeah, when I think of it right now, after 5 years of education, after completing my classes, I feel like that's how I remember bits and pieces.
Earlier you said that you didn't know what to do, and right now, have you found what you want to do in your classroom?
Yes, I thank you so much for that question, because I feel like I'm always exploring. And again, one thing about me is I make plans, but I don't make plans to a level where I feel like I can't break them. So now my next step is, after wrapping Kolor Kathmandu up, I'll be going for my graduate studies in Tufts University. I will be acquiring Masters in Law and Diplomacy. And then after that, I want to work a few years in development field, maybe in organizations there, or here. I don't really, that doesn't matter, but that's my goal for now. Like, after 2 years of education, work in the development field. So I feel like in that sense, I'm all set now. I know. Anything? Yes?
Since you said that your parents wanted you to study MBBS, now also in Nepal there are a lot of students who wanted to pursue their study in their what they like, but in the pressure of their parents, they go just step forward for engineering or MBBS. What do you advise for them? And how come you? What did you actually tell to your father that he was convinced to?
That's a good one. I would say don't do it. Yes, that was a phase. Really, it was really difficult for my dad to let go of that dream. Like I said, because being that, I don't know whether it's like a blessing or a curse. Being a good student, you're automatically, your path is already set. You're from SLC, okay, you're studying science, not humanities. Are you crazy? Well, who goes to commerce, you know? You're going to sciences, okay, sciences. And I really enjoyed sciences too. I really enjoyed bio, you know, and my dad really wanted me to be a doctor, and I wasn't too sure about the lifestyle. I knew I could do MBBS because genuinely I was really good at bio too, you know, so, but the lifestyle was not something I wanted to pursue. And now too, like, and all my friends who went in, they all, I wouldn't say regret it, but they're thinking twice about, oh my God, all this life remaining, more to study, more financial pressure, because, you know, after MBBS you need to do your MD, and then there is more. And looking at them, it really still, like, I'm so happy I didn't do that. So for my advice for all the young people is, listen to what your parents say, but really give yourself that opportunity, give yourself that enough chance to convince them that you want to pursue something else, and you're going to excel in that, whatever you do, you know. Some parents are super conservative and they might not be strict, but find how, I don't know how you can convince your parents, but I know my dad was pretty happy when I got scholarship, and he was like, okay, seems like you're doing something good, you know. So that way, I left no stone unturned to, you know, pursue what I wanted to pursue. Although then I didn't know what I wanted to. I wanted to explore, and I still was able to do that. But really, you owe it to yourself to pursue what you want to do in life. Don't force yourself into something when you know that's not what you want to do. That's my big tips. Okay. Anything else?
What challenges do you face in showing the seed of color Nepal, and how did you overcome them?
Seed of Nepal?
Yeah.
Project for Peace?
Yeah.
Oh man. Project for Peace was such an amazing experience for me because I'm so glad I did it here in Nepal because it gave me a really good reality hit. You know, just as much as it's easy to write down on papers, this is what you want to do. Okay, the proposal was beautiful, shiny, polished, and submitted to the committee, and they really believed I could do. And then I come here, it was a mess because the country was a mess then. Because I think we were going through 2008. There was a crazy political turmoil. We had a deadline to meet within 3 months. I think 15 days were thrown away by the hartals and bunds and all like it really threw us back. And then working, okay, so in States, if you go to States, you'll realize you need to be on time, you need to get your, you know, there's a certain sort of professionalism that you're used to and you so much take that for granted, you know, that you know that your work is going to be met because you've already planned this out so well and this is how it's going to be, tuck, tuck, tuck. But then you come back here and then you realize when you say somebody, you order something for, I don't know, you give the person a week, you know it's not going to come there in a week. The work is going to be only done in like 15 days. So that was crazy for me to meet that deadline, to make that deadline meet and to get that sort of professionalism and even recruiting the right kind of people. I didn't want to give all the food cards in the wrong hands. So really taking 3-4 rounds of interviewing people and really understanding whether this person is right or not. So that was another challenge. Another big challenge was, as a girl, you're so taken for granted in like the men's world, I guess. You go and like talk to people, they wouldn't take you seriously at all. They will always dismiss you, and to really make yourself be heard was another big challenge. So it was so filled with challenge, and in the end when it came out and when I saw that it was possible, you know, like I knew I was getting myself in a very stressful, challenging situation, but the reward was so good. To see that I had made a difference in lives of these young people, it really meant a lot to me. And so like that was something I knew that's how I wanted to come back in Nepal, and I knew that I wanted to experience that more. So.
When you leave for grad studies this fall, are you still looking out for Kolor Kathmandu? Is it going to continue, or what will happen?
Well, Kolor Kathmandu, so that's how the smart planning starts. Kolor Kathmandu was one-time project only, so after 75 murals, we're done. But after that, Sattya will still continue promoting street art and mural arts, and we do plan to have at least 5 or 6 murals done for a year. So it won't be this rapidly growing, but I feel like, you know, the idea behind Kolor Kathmandu was not to continue doing it, but plant a seed so that young people, we can restore respect for art, and young people can see like, yes, art can be a viable way. It can also be, you know, a reason for you to step into the career, and, you know, so we can inspire more people to come out of their comfort zone and, you know, really do something for their city. Any other questions?
Well, maybe we could ask for some final thoughts from you.
Okay, I just feel like you guys have been an awesome audience. Really, this was, I feel like I was very fortunate, to a lot of respect, but also I feel like I did some really good, I made some good decisions, right? So that's why I'm here, I guess, in front of you, and I hope you can take this with you, and wherever you go, be it you go to States or not, even if you're here, really think about all these important questions from the beginning and really pursue what you want to do, and then, you know, really go all out because you owe it to yourself.